to go over the rules of the road for you all and for our audience members. First and foremost, in case of earthquake, fire, tragedy, tornado, exits are that way and out that way. Bathrooms are down to your left and the hallway there. In addition to that, I got to ask that if any of you have one of these things in your pocket, purse, or whatever, if it happens, please set it to silence or to buzz so it doesn't make any noise. If it does go off during the candidates who are speaking, we ask that you make a small donation to a local nonprofit of Frank's Choice.
YWCA.
The YWCA, and we ask for a donation in terms of $20, folks. $20 price of poker went up this year because mine went off during one of these sessions three times ago.
Yeah.
So I paid my $20 for rescue mission. So anyways, with that being said, our candidates here will have an opportunity. First of all, we're going to begin with an opportunity to introduce themselves. And I want to first of all warn everyone that we have this being photographed and I should say videographed right now. It will go up live on the
Facebook page of the Chamber tomorrow morning.
Facebook page. And we'll have that usually done within 48 hours. Frank is really good on that. So you're going to get a 3-minute opening to actually talk to the audience members, the sheriff's platform, background, whatever you'd like to do with the audience members. Then with that, I have all this collection of all these questions and probably more coming. You have 1 minute to respond to those, and then we'll conclude where you get a 2-minute summary at the very end. In front of you, you'll see 2 colored cards there. Those are your challenge cards. Colors doesn't mean anything. It's just bright enough so I can see it. And so basically, if your opponent says something that you disagree with or have a differing opinion, you're welcome to raise that. You'll have 1 minute. That grants you 1 minute to refute whatever the candidate has, your opponent has said. And then that also grants your opponent a counterpoint, a minute to counterpoint that as well. So those are your challenge cards. We also have a timer here. Frank will put this, the yellow goes up like for if you're during the 1 minute session, so you'll have 10 seconds left, or if you're doing your 33-minute introduction, you'll have 30 seconds to put that up. But however, when you reach the end of it, the red one goes up, and that's when I walk closer to you. And if you don't get the hint, I will actually stop you. So we try to be really fair to our candidates, so everyone has an equal amount of time, and no one really monopolizes the conversation. So we have the challenge cards, timekeeping. You'll receive challenges. Frank, am I missing anything this morning?
We're good to go.
Are we good to rock and roll? All right, so good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I am Joe Rozak. I am a member of the Chamber Board of Directors, and I want to welcome you to Exit Issues. And this morning, I want to welcome our 2 candidates, both Paul and Richard. So we're going to begin with Paul to give his 3-minute introduction, and then we'll move on to Richard after that. Please, Paul.
Good morning. Thank you, everybody, for being here so early for this. I'm Paul Andrews, and I'm running for Kitsap County Auditor. I am a data analyst for Kitsap County, and I've been an IT professional for 25 years. I'm a lifelong resident of Washington State, and I've spent the last 23 years here in Kitsap County, and raising a family with my wife. We have 2 kids. Our son is a junior over at Washington State University, and our daughter is a freshman at UW. People always ask, why are you running for auditor? And for me, running for auditor, I believe that government should not be a roadblock, but be a conduit for progress in the community, and for better things, and that's why I'm running. You know, the auditor is an essential part to the success of the county. And one of my frustrations with the auditor's office is, that their job is to provide information. And I find that, you sit down at your computer and you go look up a document, and it tells you the document's not there. That means you have to go to their office to get it. And for me, that means I only have to go across the street. But for many of our citizens, it means they have to drive up to an hour one way just to get a piece of paper so that they can get the information they need to do whatever it is. It could be a weekend project that they now have to delay because the information wasn't available for them to do that. So for me, I want to create an office that meets needs of the citizens 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Essentially putting a digital front door on the auditor's office. Elections are vital to our democracy, and I'll maintain a secure and open election where everybody who can vote, has the opportunity to vote can. Government needs to be trusted, and to accomplish trust, you do that with transparency. And we have a lot of tools available to us to build transparency in government, showing you where we're spending our money and how it's being spent. I am the ideal candidate for auditor because I have the technical knowledge to do the job with less. I have the institutional knowledge to meet all of the requirements, and I have the security knowledge to make sure everything remains safe. I'm Paul Andrews. I'm running for auditor. Thank you.
Thank you. Richard, 3 minutes.
Good morning. My name is Richard Huddy. I'm a native of northeastern Pennsylvania. I was the firstborn son of 6 children, 5 boys, and 1 sassy little girl who gave us nothing but sass that whole time. My parents were young. The family was unstable. We were poor, and we moved a lot. By luck, I managed to go to the same high school for 4 years in a row. But when I first went, I was the new kid in town. But yet, I made friends. I joined the Latin club. I played the trumpet in the band, and I focused on my studies. 4 years later, I graduated with honors, having been elected class president of my junior and senior classes. With the help of a scholarship and a summer job, I earned a bachelor's degree in business administration from Lehigh University in Bethlehem, Pennsylvania. During the summers, I worked as an orderly in a nursing home, and I got the bug to work in healthcare. Thereafter, I went to Georgia State University in Atlanta for my master's degree in health administration. That commenced the beginning of a 23-year career in the management of hospitals, skilled nursing facilities, retirement communities, and doctors' clinics. Early on, my employers caught on that I was really quick at identifying, diagnosing, and solving problems. So I got a lot of problems sent my way. Over the course of those 23 years, I worked with multidisciplinary teams using my skills in financial management and marketing to turn around 8 underperforming organizations and to open 4 high-quality new facilities. Lesson learned: if you provide high-quality facilities and services for a reasonable price, your businesses will prosper and succeed. In 1998, I moved to Kitsap County, where I became the executive director of Martha and Marion Paulsbo. I oversaw an $11 million expansion of a health center and co-developed an innovative children's learning center. In 2000, it was my good fortune to marry Sabrina Younger, a Bremerton native and a Kitsap County resident. She is the best part of my life. Politically, we make a great team. She's a moderate Republican, and I'm a moderate Democrat. Together, we tend to see good people and good ideas on both sides of the political spectrum. In 2015, I ran for and was elected to the Bremerton City Council, where today I serve as the council vice president. If elected as the Kitsap County Auditor, I am going to do my very best to fulfill the responsibilities of that position. I feel like I'm very well suited in terms of my education and experience. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, so now we get on to an exciting part of the morning's event, which is the questions generated by you, the audience members, of which I have a bunch of really easy ones, so I'm going to start with the hard ones. So it's a good way for you all to get introduced to our timing as far as the 1 minute. But also, we got some really good questions from our audience members. I want to get these up front and center. So I know, Paul, you began, so we're going to ask Richard to start with the questions. So Richard, first question to you. As auditor, what would be your #1 ask or need for both the 2019 and 2020 budget cycle, and why is it your #1 choice?
I would be looking for some additional staff to ensure the proper implementation of the new computer system for the county. I think that there's inevitably going to be bugs in this system. We're going to have to work them out, and we are going to be looking for ways to make things very smooth for our customers.
Okay. Audience members can ask, can you hear all right, or should I put the microphone on? Can you hear all right? Any nodding? Anyone not shaking? Okay, good. Thank you very much. So, Paul, same question to you. I can reread the question if you would like.
No, I'm good. So the 2019 budget already has requests for additional staff, and that they did grant one of those positions as a 3-year position. My concern, I guess, would be that they declined requests for additional staff at elections, and there's a lot of elections legislation that's going into place, and we don't know the full impact of that yet, but my interest would be in looking to make sure, we'll see how this first part of 2019 works out, but it would be looking at elections to make sure that we're meeting the needs there. Also, elections is having a new system come online in the following year, so that's going to also be an additional impact on the staff. So additional staff there in elections is vital. But finance has already been taken care of for the implementation of that.
Very good. Thank you. So, staying with you then, Paul. The next question we have is the auditor's office is responsible for a number of specific tasks. Which one of those will you change the most during your term in office, and why?
Well, like I said in my opening, it's about providing information to the citizens. We're tasked with doing that. And we already have a great elections group. We have a great financial group. They've been recognized in their fields. But what we provide, the information we provide to the citizens, is where we really need to look at how we can make their lives easier. That's what government's for. Your elected person is there to make the life of the citizens easier, and by providing a service that we already provide, just providing it better. So more documents online that are already available, so you don't have to come into the office. Better tools to find those documents. A lot of people, there's a lot of information out there that people just don't know how to get a hold of.
Thank you. Richard, same question?
Well, very simply and very directly, marriage licenses. The only way to get a marriage license right now in Kitsap County is to go to Port Orchard. I think that is inconvenient for a county whose population is growing and whose transportation is getting more clogged. So I would be looking to do something innovative. I would want to see if we could partner with some of the municipalities to provide those services in Winslow, in Paulsville, in Kingston, in Silverdale, throughout the county, to make it more convenient for people to obtain marriage licenses.
Thank you. And staying with you now, Richard, the next question is, the Auditor's Department serves all of Kitsap County, including the cities. Do you have an agenda or a vision that might favor one area over others, or can you fairly and effectively serve all of Kitsap County? Richard?
No doubt that I can fairly and effectively serve all of Kitsap County, and I couldn't imagine doing the job otherwise.
Very good. Thank you. Can you repeat the question, please? Happily. The Auditor's Department serves all of Kitsap County, including the cities. Do you have an agenda or a vision that might favor one area over the other, or can you fairly and effectively serve all of Kitsap County?
I can fairly and effectively serve all of Kitsap County. That's what this job is about. It's about serving the whole county, making sure that we're meeting the needs from north to south. And that's what I will do.
Very good. Thank you. Now, Paul, next question goes to you. What is your plan to do to ensure that there is no fraud in county elections?
Make sure I heard that.
What is your plan? What is your plan to ensure that there is no fraud in county elections?
The process does not allow for fraud in any way. We have two-person rules. We have observers that are there the whole time. It is that if you go through the entire process of how a ballot is processed from beginning to end, the opportunities for fraud are minimized to the point that it would have to be very egregious. And so I could explain the whole process to you in you would understand where that comes from. But I will tell you, I have some ideas as far as potentially including cameras so that we can live stream the elections room so that anybody can just tune in and see what's happening in the elections room at any time. There wouldn't be any threat to your privacy because we wouldn't be showing you the ballots, but we'd be showing you the room. So you can see what the demeanor of the room is and how the operation really works. And I would encourage anybody, if you're really concerned about fraud, come down to the office and take a tour of the elections department, and you'll understand why it is such a secure thing.
Thank you. And Richard, same question, please.
I agree with Paul about this. Because Kitsap County uses paper ballots, the potential for fraud is minimal. So there's basically two sources of concern with respect to the integrity of the election. The first is to maintain the security of the voter database. And we do that by working with the state and our IT department to ensure that that database is secure. And the second is to conduct post-election audits, and in particular to have risk-limiting audits after the election to ensure that in each precinct that we have an accurate and fair vote.
Great. Thank you, Richard. And next question goes to you, Richard. And the question is, should the existing mail-in ballot system be changed to a vote-in-person system? Why or why not?
You know, I come from the old school where I remember going down to the schoolhouse and seeing the volunteers showing my ID and for them to ensure that in fact I was registered, getting my ballot and then going into the booth, pulling the curtain back, voting, coming back out, putting my ballot in the box, and then greeting everyone. It was a ritual that we all enjoyed. And I think that for some of us older people, and I'm going to put myself in that category, that it's something that we miss. However, the mail-in process is one that offers a lot of advantages. And one of them is the ability to sit there with your voter's pamphlet and look through the voter's pamphlet with your spouse as you are making your ballot decisions. It's just a great way to vote, and one that I think yields very good results.
Thank you. Paul, same question?
You know, the mail-in process is, it removes barriers for voters. It provides more opportunity for people to, like Richard said, sit down and review who you're going to vote for. It opens up more opportunities, and I don't think that we need to go back to that. I mean, I remember the long lines and having to stand in line just so you could show them your ID. And those were barriers that people got tired of. And we're in a society today where, you know, they want to be able to vote on their own time. And the benefit of having a mail-in election too is that we can tabulate more ballots before 8 a.m. because we can process those votes so that at 8:15 when we post the results, we can tell you better, you know, what the election results look like. Whereas in the old, you know, how they used to do it when you had to go to those election houses, it took longer to tabulate all those votes. And it cost a lot more.
Great. Thank you. So, and Paul, next question goes to you, please. And is, have you requested and received copies of the previous budgets and financials? If not, why not?
Oh yeah, I have copies of the previous budgets. I have copies of the current budget. I've attended the budget hearings to see what the considerations were and what the demeanor of the room was. I understand what the 2019 budget is that the next auditor is going to be inheriting. And I think it's important that you know, you understand what considerations the auditor is giving, what their concerns are, and those are things that appear in the budget. She has big concerns about the new laws for voting elections and what that means to the office and what it's going to mean to the staff. I didn't see all of the validations in the request, meaning, you know, how many of these voter registration changes there are. I know what the numbers are nationally. They say 15% of your voter database turns over every year. That means that, you know, 15% of our voter population here is going to be doing a registration change. But what that actually, how that's going to impact the last minute changes, I don't know. But I do have a budget.
All right, thank you. And Richard, same question?
I have not reviewed this year's budget request. I have reviewed the comprehensive financial report for the past several years and examined that very closely to be in tune with what's going on, not only in the auditor's office, but also the entire county.
Thank you. And the next question, going to you, Richard, is are the fees currently being charged for various services from the Kitsap County Auditor's Department sufficient to maintain and potentially increase the level of service to the public? Richard?
Is there really a relationship between the fees that we charge and the expenses that we have in our budget? Not really. I really think that to a certain extent, the fees that are charged by all levels of government are excessive for the services that are provided. Every time we turn around, there's another mandate requiring us to add more money onto fees, like the $25 additional fee on the recording fees, for purposes that are not even related to the recording function. So in general, I am in favor of doing what we can to reduce fees.
Thank you. Paul?
So on the fees, I know that we have not done a study to actually calculate, the amount of work that's required based on the fee collected. But I can tell you that any changes made to any fees also has impact on private business. We have sub-agents that sell licenses in the county that are telling me that they don't get enough money to cover their costs to provide the licensing services that they're doing. And they haven't seen an increase in 7 years. And the requirements for that job to actually certify the person selling you the license, it takes a lot of training before they can let them loose and do their job. So I can't answer as to if the fees cover our costs, but I can tell you the fees don't cover the costs of the other agencies. And if we were going to lower the fees, we'd be impacting the private working agencies in the county.
Great, thank you. So Paul, next question. As a matter of fact, we have 2 questions on this subject matter. The Olympia funded the prepaid envelopes for the 2018 primary and general elections ballots. Should Kitsap County continue with prepaid ballot envelopes if Olympia does not continue funding in 2019 and beyond? If so, how should the funding for prepaid ballot envelopes be obtained, and who should pay and how? It's a lengthy question, multi-level. I'm happy to repeat it for you at any time.
The prepaid ballots, from the initial numbers that I've seen, did not render any more voters. And the commissioners have declined in the budget to fund prepaid ballots for next year. So if the state does not pick it up, that means it's going to be on the citizens to put a stamp on that ballot. But that being said, we have 22 drop boxes spread out around the county. And if you're going to put a stamp on an envelope and you're going to take it to the post office, you can easily take it to one of the drop boxes, which is probably closer to your house than the mailbox would be anyway. So at this point, if the state doesn't fund it, it's going to be back on the citizens because the county has declined to cover that charge.
Thank you. Richard, same question.
And I am in complete agreement with Paul's answer. No need to repeat it.
All right, then. That makes that easy. Let's move on to the follow-up question specifically with mail-in ballots. What do you do to protect the senior population in nursing homes from being exploited and their ballots being stolen and votes being stolen? Question to you, Richard, please.
Well, again, Paul referenced earlier the two-person system for ensuring that there's no fraud with respect to these ballots. And so what you are looking for is the integrity of the people who are involved in that. And we do have a very long-standing, reliable staff of people who come in and help us with the elections that I feel we can count on.
Thank you.
One more time, please.
The question is, with mail-in ballots, what do you do to protect the senior population and nursing homes from being exploited and their ballots being stolen and votes becoming stolen?
So the nursing homes do get special attention from the elections department. We have a mobile voting unit that goes out to several of the locations to help them. But as far as the vote being stolen, we can't, just like in your mailbox, we can't prevent the envelope from being stolen. What we can do, though, is assure that the vote that is turned in is your vote, because we validate every signature of every ballot. So if it is a ballot that was not turned in by the person who it was supposed to go to, the signature would not pass the validation process, and that vote would not be counted.
Thank you. And Paul, back to you. This new question. What will you do as an auditor to increase the voter turnout in all elections?
So increasing voter turnout is interesting. We need to do a deep dive into the data to see who isn't voting and where those votes aren't coming from. I do have plans for a program, and it's part of the voting initiative with Temperance and Good Citizenship Day, where we'll go into the high schools, we'll go to the colleges, and we'll explain to them the value and the importance of voting. Because with automatic voter registration, you lose that personal contact and that experience of registering to vote and understanding the true meaning of what it means. So we'll bring an education program into the schools so that we can talk to the students and make sure that they understand that it is important and it is one of those freedoms that they need to express. And then, like I said, looking at the data, seeing who isn't voting, and then trying to figure out why. I mean, if seniors aren't voting and it's because of the paper ballot, then we have to look at, well, what is it that they need? We do have some electronic voting machines that don't get used, but maybe that is a system that they would be more in tune with. But again, it requires studying who's not voting first.
Thank you, Paul. Richard, same question.
Paul, have you been reading my notes? I have 5 points on here that you almost repeated verbatim.
That's because you heard me when we talked about the Republican.
Oh, you're so funny. You are so funny. So I agree that we need to conduct some primary and secondary research to understand voter behavior, why people are voting, and more importantly, why people aren't voting. We need to learn who isn't voting and why, and we need to reach out to those groups. I would use my nonpartisanship to approach, to register voters who distrust political parties. I think that's an issue. I also think that there are people who are disenfranchised as a result of socioeconomic status. There's a lot of people who are just struggling to survive, who really don't feel like they have the knowledge or don't feel like they're engaged in the process, and so therefore they don't vote. We need to partner with organizations like the League of Women Voters and other groups to expand voter education, registration, and participation. And we need to reach out to high school and college students to increase voter registration and participation.
Thank you, Richard. So the next question going to you, Richard, is as auditor, how will you ensure unfunded mandates from Washington, D.C. or Olympia do not have a detrimental effect on voters and taxpayers in Kitsap County?
Unfunded mandates. Those 2 words say it all. No funding, but you've got to do them. So when you're faced with something like an unfunded mandate, and you don't have a choice, you just have to buckle down and make the best of it. You have to get the job done. You have to stretch. You have to get the team moving all in the same direction. On the other hand, through the Association of Auditors and through your state legislatures, we can work to ensure that we have a minimum of unfunded mandates going forward. And when they come up with these things, then we go back to them and we very vigorously voice our objection.
Thank you. Paul?
Yeah, most of the mandates are unfunded. But I have a plan that creates a cross-training opportunity in the office. What we find we have a problem with is that there isn't a lot of mobility in the office. You get into a position and you basically work that position until there's an opening for that supervisor's position. Otherwise, there isn't a lot of climbing the ladder, so to speak. But my plan is to actually create opportunity where we can take some of the staff from like the front counter and bring them back into finance, take some of the staff from other departments and move them around so that they get cross-trained in elections and in finance and then at the counter, so that in times of need, when we have that specific need to bring in additional staff, whether it be for an election, whether it be because there's something happening with licensing, whether it's the financial reporting at the time of year where we have to spend more time doing extra work, we have trained staff that can come in and fill in those spots. One of the biggest problems we have is where you have an employee that goes out on a long-term disability or something, and you're stuck trying to fill a position.
Thank you, Paul. So the next question goes to you, Paul. If elected, would you give up your day job / other elected position?
Oh, absolutely, I have to. I have a full-time job, and to be elected as auditor is a full-time job, so there is no question of that.
Thank you. Richard, same question.
And I would give up both my day job and my elected position. My day job is as a carpenter working on the renovations of our rentals. My wife and I are involved in residential rentals in Bremerton. And we both agree that when I'm elected auditor, that we're not going to be adding any more houses to that, and that she is going to take over the maintenance of the rentals. As far as my city council position is concerned, by city charter, I have to give it up. And I have to confess that it took me 6 weeks to decide to run for auditor, primarily because I really enjoy being on the Bremerton City Council and didn't want to give it up. But give it up I will.
All right, thank you. And Richard, this question is, what are the qualifications and skills you will bring to the auditor's department?
Well, the biggest things that I bring are education, formal education in business administration. I have a bachelor's degree and a master's degree in business and health administration. And I also